So thanks very much for letting me come along this morning. I'm not going to start right from the very beginning of One Stockport, because I've just been looking around the virtual room, and I know a load of you have already been involved to date, so I won't kind of start right from the beginning. But if anyone wants a kind of further chat after this meeting, you know, later this week, very happy to do so. But fundamentally, as Helen mentioned, One Stockport came out as part of the initial response to the first COVID lockdown, really recognising the message that the council was getting from both businesses and the voluntary sector to say, we need to do something to pull everybody together. First of all, to support local businesses, to help them get through the lockdown, you know, that kind of whole shop local, trade local mantra. We needed to do something to connect our communities, to celebrate what went well during lockdown, the first lockdown, and continues to go well in terms of people volunteering and supporting their neighbours and local communities. And that we also need to do something around promoting health and well-being because of the clear link between COVID and good health. So the campaign was set up, the kind of council kick-started it, just because we were around, we weren't furloughed, we were all here. So we kick-started it kind of on behalf of everybody, and it's really picked up momentum. So just a couple of stats here, just from last month. So we've been going since about June time, but you know, good. We have a website, hopefully you'll have seen it. Helen and Richard continue to do a fantastic job of collating good news stories from across the borough. I think we had a clear message from businesses and the VCSE sector that we need a platform for good news. There's a lot of bad news out there at the moment. Let's have somewhere to celebrate how Stockport is pulling together to get through this. So loads of news stories on the website. We had one last week about a young boy from Ethero who's been recognised by David Attenborough, all sorts on there. So do go and have a look. On the website, we've also got a toolkit, and downloads of that continue to be really healthy. So again, that's materials that people can use to show their support for the campaign, whether it be email signatures or graphics for your website. And we also have a brochure that just gives a bit more information about the campaign. I think might be of interest to a number of viewers around the shop local posters. So we've got some 22 posters for each of the different areas in Stockport that businesses are able to download, print out, and use in windows or in receptions, just again to promote that kind of shop local, trade local message. And those posters continue to be very popular. I know as well some of you have been involved in distributing the One Stockport tote bags, which have gone out to about 4,000 people in the voluntary and community groups across the borough, really just to say thank you for the work that they continue to do. And we're also this week giving out a number of bags to staff in Stockport's care homes, again as a thank you for the fantastic work that they've been doing and continue to do. So that's just a really, really quick update in terms of where we're up to. Just wanted to share with you where we're going for the next couple of months. So obviously we have to remain really agile and flexible just to respond to what is going on out there. So we're continuing to kind of respond as best we can, support the outbreak management messaging, but really continue to focus on sharing those positive news stories, both across the business and voluntary sectors and more widely. So the website is supported by social media channels, and we'll be having a push in the next couple of weeks, started already, around, again, shop local and also around kind of charity and giving and volunteering in the run up to Christmas. Watch this space for some information around if you're not doing a Christmas party this year, what you might be able to do instead to help local organisations. We're also going to have a number of kind of physical materials, which I'll show some snaps of in a minute. I know a number of you are already aware of the Stockport Local Fund, which has been, a new round has been launched and is open for a couple of weeks for local voluntary and community organisations. And I mentioned about the kind of shop local mini campaign. So there will be shop local banners going up in all the district and local centres. And we'll be continuing to push the kind of shop local toolkit and the posters. I think one thing, although we've got the three main elements of the campaign, and this came, you know, out of celebrating how we've come together and kind of trying to support each other to get through lockdown, we're really trying to move towards a forward-looking view. So Councillor Wilson mentioned around, you know, what do we want the future of Stockport to be like? How are we growing? What happens next? So I'll talk in a moment a little bit more about the Borough Plan, but what we're trying to do is begin to have conversations across businesses, across organisations, and with residents around what does Build Back Better look like for Stockport. So what do we want to retain that's worked well through lockdown in terms of community support, and what do we want the future to look like? So I'll just come on to that in a second. But first of all, just wanted to share just some ideas, really. These are things that we're working on at the moment, so just to try and get the kind of message out there a little bit more. So working on some branded bin wagons, and also some kind of building wraps you might have seen out and about in Mersey, for example. We've got some large banners on Mersey and also at Stockport Exchange. But we're looking towards having some shop local banners, as I mentioned, continuing to get the brand out on kind of partner sites. So we've done some great work with Viaduct Housing and TFGM on Stockport Exchange, so that will be coming soon. I mentioned about Mersey, we're looking at options. It's just a photo there of the Mersey banner, of getting similar banners elsewhere across the borough, as well as some kind of roving pull-up banners that can move around the borough to local libraries and leisure centres and partner organisations, offices as well, again, just to kind of spread the message of the campaign. So hopefully all of that will give us a relatively good spread of stuff. If anyone's interested in getting involved in any of that, in terms of having information up in your premises, if they're still open and operating, please do get in touch. We're really keen to engage with people on that. So I mentioned kind of about the Borough Plan and that forward look. So what we're doing is trying to use the fact that everybody's coming together in the dialogue between the council, its partners in terms of the public sector, but also businesses and the BCSE sector. We're trying to make the most of that and trying to get us to have those collective conversations about the future of Stockport in order to produce a Borough Plan. So, as I say, it's kind of started off as the campaign. We're beginning to have those kind of One Stockport conversations, moving towards a Borough Plan, which will then be able to support partner plans, so other organisations such as the NHS in setting out their plans for the coming years. So we're on that journey now at the moment. We're probably slap banging the arrow between the pink and the purple at the moment in terms of where we are. But I just wanted to share with you, as well as the kind of campaign stuff, just some of the feedback that we're getting, and just to kind of, I guess, begin that conversation with those of you that we perhaps haven't got to yet. So over the coming weeks and months, we're having a number of strategic workshops, which again, I think some of you have been involved in. We're having discussions with kind of established forums, including this one, obviously, again, around what attendees' priorities are for the borough. Also doing a number of targeted workshops with kind of specific groups, so care leavers, mutual aid groups, for example, and then obviously doing quite a bit of internal engagement with the council staff and school staff as well. So just to share with you, really, I think I'll kind of try and pick out the most interesting bits for this group, but I'm happy to share the slides afterwards if you'd like a bit more of a read. But as part of that journey, we've done a number of surveys. So we did a survey along with partners at the CCG around people's kind of attitudes around the initial lockdown and it being lifted and how they felt it was going to impact on their lives. So, you know, high numbers saying they feel more connected to their communities and that they want to keep in touch with neighbours on the back of lockdown. You know, a quarter saying they'd go to pubs and restaurants as often as they did before, but equally nearly 40% saying that it would be less often. And then nearly kind of 50% saying they'd support local businesses more now that lockdown had been lifted. So kind of a mixed picture really, but beginning to give us some insight into how people are responding to the restrictions. And obviously we would assume that some of that would stick now in the second lockdown and any future lockdowns that may happen. So as well as the surveys, we've done some targeted engagement, or some initial engagement, I should say, with the VCSE Forum and an emerging One Network, which is a collection of a number of different stakeholders, So again, just to go through this pretty quickly, but again, people reflecting on how they've worked together and what the priorities should be. So kind of connecting grassroots networks more with bigger organisations and leaders, and really trying to maintain the legacy of volunteering that we had during the initial lockdown, and we continue to see going forward. In terms of businesses, we've been engaging, as well as kind of a number of you in this room, with Economic Resilience Forum and the Economic Alliance, again looking at what the priorities are for going forward, what are we celebrating. Quite a clear message that kind of that infrastructure connectivity that you need to support your businesses is really important, making sure we've got the right skills, but also that we've got opportunities to collaborate and meet with other businesses. Again, this group being a prime example of that in action already. Moving on to young people, we had a video booth before COVID, I hasten to add, but we had a video booth in a number of local primary schools, again to ask younger children what do they think. Really clear message around the environment, nature, green space, and kind of clean air coming from that cohort. And a similar picture from kind of older groups. So we went to college students, and again, quite a clear message around kind of clean air, the environment, and health and well-being. And then also engagement with older people, really interested around digital inclusion, trying to make people included digitally, using platforms for engagement, and again, trying to celebrate the collaboration that's happened as a result of COVID and keep that going. And again, similar message from parents and carers who we also spoke to. More recently, we've done a priority survey, which was available on the council's website and promoted through One Stockport, which kind of focused really on what do we think is good about Stockport at the moment and what do we think is most important for the future. I think it's unsurprising that access to good quality health services came up as a key priority for the future, understandably, but also things like access to parks and green spaces, and kind of town and district centres came up pretty high as well. So loads of really good intelligence that we're gathering, trying to get in from people, clear message around supporting the young, supporting the elderly, celebrating the communities and helping that kind of community cohesion, but also support for independent businesses, and how we can kind of support businesses going forward. So in terms of where we are with that, obviously we continue to have all the One Stockport kind of campaign materials out and about as I've gone through. We've got the leadership workshops and kind of engagement with stakeholders this month and next in the run up to Christmas as we start to draft the Borough Plan. That will then go through the council's processes and partner processes in the new year, heading for a leadership summit, COVID dependent, in kind of March 2021. So again, trying to galvanise everybody together for that forward look, which Councillor Wilson mentioned in her presentation. I'm just going to skip through that bit and just get on to, I guess, how you can get involved if you're not already. So on a really kind of easy level, please do check out the One Stockport website, find out more if you've never heard of it before today, and download the toolkits. If you have heard of it before, and I know many of you have and you already do this, please do promote it through your networks. We're trying to get out to as many people as possible, as best we can. Do follow the online social media channels. We've got Twitter, we've got Instagram and Facebook. And please do share any positive news stories with Helen and Richard through the email address on the screen. If it's something that your business is doing to support employees, or if you're a voluntary organisation doing something, whatever it is, please do share. And more generally, if you have any thoughts or kind of views that you want to share around the future and what the priorities should be for Stockport, please do get in touch. So either through that email, or you've got my email from this meeting, please do get in touch. Be happy to have a chat. Brilliant. Sorry, Helen.